Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do kind of my update for 2022 for my Serious About series. So I went into last year, I had a whole list, which I'll show you. We had a whole list of 42 series that I was going to try to hit. I'm a dork. Anyway, I found it really interesting what I thought at the beginning of the year that I would put on this list, and then what I actually read. It's one of those weird things, because a couple of series on here that I definitely for sure read the next books in are not on here. There's a lot of these ones I still have on my 2023 list because I still want to read those. So it was really interesting this year to pay attention more to my series because as I said, I've said this in at least a little bit. I used to be a big series reader. Like, that was what I read all the time. That was pretty much all my reading, other than standalones here and there. But I would say most of my reading from after college, after all the mental stuff I went through that degree, I really just dove into series, and for years that's pretty much most of my reading. I do have odds and ends thing I'd get from the library, or I'd pick up at at a used bookstore or something, but I would say primarily I was reading series. And then you kind of get onto Booktube, and then your horizons are expanded, and I bought a lot of stuff that I'm really glad I did, and got into some genres that I probably wasn't. I read a little bit in, but not a lot of, but I got a lot more books to read. But a lot of those were standalones, or they're not series, but I was still buying series. And this last, a little bit over a week ago, I went through all my bookshelves to write down how many series I was in the middle of, or that I had the first books in, or that I hadn't started yet, or the series that actually were still on my shelf that I had finished, so I would know where I was on that. This list is not perfect. I already just today found out that one of the books that I had on the list as that I thought was books I hadn't read. I read the first book too many years ago when I was looking for something else, and I just haven't read the second book. So, there's going to be some mistakes in the numbers, but I thought I would just kind of talk through some of these. I wish I had some cool graphs and stuff, but let's just talk about how this year went. So I did track a lot of my series this way in my bullet journal, which is a book journal that I don't use that much this year. But I tracked which series I started or were in the middle of, and then tracked how much of that I read this year. And I did read a lot more than I had in the last few years. So I just want to show that I did track them in some way. I do have a spreadsheet as well that I track a lot of stuff in. I've never really showed you my spreadsheets, but maybe I should do that at some point. You'll have to let me know if you want to see that. But anyway, so series-wise, I did go through and figure out, because some of these series I don't own copies of, so that's why I'm not going to show books, because a lot of them are library books that I got, which is, again, I need to calm down on the library. Although there's a couple of series in here that if the next book comes out, I'll get it from the library, because I'm continuing to read them that way. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of go through kind of a little stat sheet, which I'll do in my stats things as well. But I just want to talk about how many series I did touch and how I did. And then I will give you the numbers of where my personal library stands on series, at least at this point. As I said, I think there's going to be a few fluctuations in some of the numbers, because I don't think I saw every book or every series that I realized was a series. This is, like I said, some of them I might have read part of it that I didn't realize I did. So I'm going to make another spreadsheet with all my series that I've seen on several other people do. I know I've seen them on, that have other series, so I haven't built mine yet. So we're just going to go with what we have. So in 2022, I started 22 series. So of those, so I did start 22, but I also completed 13 series during that year. And 14 series I caught up on. So I'm up to date on all the books that are previously out for those. So, I mean, if you add that, I'm completed or caught up on more series than I started. But, it's just, I didn't realize I'd started so many series, but I'd started a lot of stuff this year. It's how that works. It just kind of goes. And again, well, I'll talk about how many I actually did from my list from last year. I did also, but of the series that I started and that 5 of them I finished. So I started and finished 5 series, and I started and caught up on 6. So of those numbers, so I had 13 completed, 5 of those I had started that year, and then so 11 of the series that I started, so half of them I'm caught up on or finished already. So I did really well that way, but 11 are still ones that I need to make progress in. So 50%, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not. So we'll see. I did DNF 5 series that I started this year. So 5 of those of the 11 left actually. So there's really only 6 that I need to make progress in. 5 of them I DNF'd. So that's 19% of those series. I tried the first book and did not like it, and I'm not continuing. A few, yeah, I don't think that's kind of high for DNFs, but it was just the way. There's a couple series that I got a couple books into and then DNF the series because I didn't like them. So, you know, that's kind of how that went, or I gave it a shot a second time and didn't like it. So 5 series are, I have a lot of series, so I'm not going to miss those 5. But I did want to point out that how many series books I reread this year was 64. 64 books that I'd read previous to 2022. Well, except for one. One was actually a reread within the year. So 63 of them were prior 2022 that I'd read before, and then one was from this year. So 64 of them, or so, which is a lot of books. So it was, of my rereads that I did for the year, it was 87.7% of the rereads were all series reading. And so a lot of them, again, most of the rereads came from rereading both the Side Changeling series and the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. I mean, that's almost 40 books. It's like 37 or something. So almost over half of them were all Nalini Singh. And then the rest of them were all parts of series that either I was trying to get back into or I just reread them for the fun of it. But as I said, most of my rereads this year were series rereads. So I looked at it as I don't have to do a lot of those rereads this year because I've done a lot of them already. We'll see. There's still some series that I'm going to reread this year that to get into other series, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, so where's my list? So as I said, last year I made a list. I made 2 lists of 20 of books that I wanted to read. One was series to start, and then the other one was books to continue and finish. And then I had 2 priority series. And so let's talk about the priority series first. I had Mistborn Era 2 because 3 books were out and the 4th one came out in November. So I was hoping to read all 4 of them this year. I got to 2 of them. So I made progress. I started it and read the first 2 books, and that's it. The Custard Protocol was my other priority series, which I only reread the first book. So I still have those 3 books. Those are on my list this year. They're definitely still something I want to get to fairly soon. So we're going to work on that. Then the other ones, I just wanted to put out that I had the ones to continue and finish. I finished 5 of those series. So I did 25% of the 20 series. So I think I did pretty good there. The rest of them I didn't touch. Like, they were all ones I wanted to, but I didn't get to them. But 5 of them I did complete. So I think that I did good on that one. I don't think any of them I made progress but didn't complete. No, I didn't. So it's all just complete. So I finished 5. And then on the ones to start, I DNF'd 1. And then and that's one of the series that I won't continue. And then 2 of them I started and then put them on hold because I was just not, most of last year, epic fantasy just wasn't calling to me. I'm hoping I'm breaking that. I'm hoping that this year will be much better on getting more of that back into my reading because I really do miss it and I own so much of it. But 2 of them I read, and they're ones I want to try to get back to this year to read them and see if I want to read those series as well. But this statistic isn't very good. So of the series I wanted to start, I DNF'd 1 of them and 2 of them I started it and then put on hold. So I didn't do so good on that list. I did much better on the complete and finish. So I think that did really well. Because as I said, I completed 13 series this year, which I was pretty proud of. I mean, I'd like to have that number higher, but you know. So, okay, so that's kind of the back of that. As I said, I'm going to probably track again how many books and series for this year. As I said, I don't book journal too much, but I definitely like to keep track of the lists of what books I made all my videos on, of things I want to get to. But I also really liked seeing a graphic of the series that I'm reading. And then I just make little boxes. I think I'm going to make it a little different this year. So if I reread it, I'm going to make the box a different color of the reread one. Somehow I was doing like, I was double Xing it if I reread it. I don't know. I'm going to figure something out. But as I said, I'll probably do this same spread again next year. And as I said, I'm going to do another whole spreadsheet on Excel that'll cover a little bit more detail of what those books are that I've read. Okay, so let's talk about my whole personal library. So I'm not counting, some of these have I have ebooks and audiobooks to them too. So I counted some of those series I knew offhand, but I have a lot of electronic first books and series and a lot of, there might be some series books in the audiobooks too. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not as much of that because most of my audiobooks are nonfiction or they're rereads or, you know, stuff that I haven't read before that I want to get to. Ebooks though, I am notorious for buying first books and series ebook and then later buying a physical because I just won't get to it when it's on ebook. So I didn't go through those parts of my library. I'm going with my physical library that I have right now here in my house. So, okay, so here we go. Series to start. So this means that I have at least the first book in a series on my shelf physically. I have 341 books that are first books in series. So 341 series that are on my shelves that I can read or should read. 66 of those, or 19.35%, are books that I have more than one of that same series on my shelf that I haven't tried yet. I'm laughing because I couldn't believe I was in the 300s. I mean, I knew I had to have over 100 because I had a cart of all my, a lot of my urban fantasy, paranormal romances, first books and series. And I knew I had like 50 of them a year ago or 2 years ago. I don't remember when I did that video. But the point is that I knew I had at least 50. And then I knew I had a lot. 341 was kind of an eye-opener. So I need to read what I own and, you know, continue those series or get rid of them. But I do have a tendency to buy the first books in series because I'm interested, so I want to try them, but I just don't always get to them. So that is across all different genres, and I'm even talking nonfiction, historical fiction, classics, romance in all different forms, fantasy in all different forms, science fiction, mystery, adventure. There's a lot of stuff that I have in a lot of different, a lot of translated works. Not too many are series, but I have a couple series, you know, like there's not that many. But I have so many books. Anyway, so eye-opener, a lot of series. Okay, then let's talk about the series that I have at least touched in some point. So how many series am I in the middle of? That means I've read at least one book in the series. I'm in the middle of 102 series. I was a little floored by that. I knew I had a lot of series where I've read the first book and haven't continued. Or even the first two and haven't continued. So, because a lot of times I'll start a series when it first comes out and then I have to wait and then I forget about it. So I have 102 that I have started but not completed. But this year, how do I want to put this? So, but this year not this year, I guess of the ones I'm out there, there's 5 of them. Well, 5 of them I made progress on this year, but I'm not caught up on, I think is how this is supposed to go. And then 18 of them, of the series that are in my house, I'm caught up on the last book in that series that's out so far, and it's still supposed to continue. So, so I made a little progress. I mean, I think the 18, some of those are books, I only get one book a year, and so I'm able to keep up on them. There are other series that I used to do that, and then I lost track of it, and so then I'm a couple behind. So, so of the 102, I'm only caught up on 18 of them, and then 5 of them, at least I made progress this year. So we'll have to work on that. Anyway, but that's a lot of series that I'm in the middle of. As I said, I want to make my spreadsheet so I can see all the ones I'm in the middle of, so I know that. And then, but right now, what's on my shelf, I only have 56 series that are completed that I've kept. There are some series that, again, I've read through all through the library that I never had copies of. There are other series that I liked, but I got rid of them. So I know that my completed series number is much higher. I am only counting 56 of the ones are ones that I've read complete and I've kept the books on my shelf. So, at least, but there's one series that I kept only the first book, because I only like the first book. I got rid of the other two. So there's one little exception, but most of them are, if I completed the series, I either have them all in my series, you know, I still have them on my shelf. But so the 56 of them are that. So that's that one I'm not so worried about. I'm not worried about that number. I mean, it'd be nice if it's higher. But I think the main thing here is to know that I need to work on my series, which is my goal for this year. It's hard to explain how it's so easy for me to buy first books in series, because they're always coming out and I always want to try everything. And some of them I get from the library, and getting them from the library doesn't always work because I don't read them right away. I'm definitely am one of those people who buy books and then they sit on my shelf for a while before I get to them. And the library, I sometimes will try stuff, but then I'll be like, well, I don't have time to try it, so then I'll just buy it later or whatever. So again, I'm working on that, trying to curb not buying something until I'm ready for it, but we'll see how that goes. I did want to just show you that there are, like, I wrote down like what how many, like, what the books I have, like, in a series that I haven't started. So there's like a whole list here. And then, like, the continues, I made notes of which ones I've read, and then what I need to read that's on my shelf. And a lot of them are that I don't have them all. I just have like a couple of books after the first book that I read because I got into it and then I dropped it. And then some of these are like up to date. We're all good. So, it's one of those things. So as I said, I'm just working on all that. So that's kind of my stats, or my serious about series kind of wrap up for the year. I did really well. I mean, as I said, I still started a lot of series, but I also completed 13 and I caught up on 14. So, I mean, that's still 27 series where I made a lot of progress and I'm good where I'm at because I either finished it or I'm up to date. And again, I DNF'd 5. So that's another good number that I'm not going to continue because I just either didn't like it or I'm just like, that doesn't interest me anymore. I just need to work on not buying so many first books in series right now. Maybe calm it a little bit and get through the ones that I want to read, that I physically own. And then, as I said, I am going to let myself buy books further in the series if I get there. So, like, I have a lot of first books in series, but if I get into that series, I want to make sure I buy or get the books from the library, whichever works best for me, to finish that series. So it's not another lingering series, because again, I have 102, and at least, I mean, what's that? Like, it's like 90, like, or 88 of them are like, I'm in the middle of, I just haven't made a lot of progress. And so I still have a lot to work to do. So that is it. I know that wasn't as more of a talky, I stat things. I would love to be able to do charts and things like that, but I just wanted to let you guys know I am working on my series. I think I made a lot of good progress this year. I did do a lot of rereads. I'm hoping this next year I've caught up on a lot of things with my rereads, so I don't need to do as much rereading, but I did already in this year start a couple rereads so that I can continue series. So, oh well, I'm gonna just work on it. So anyway, so how was your series? Things that you did last year? Did you guys make a lot of progress, finish a lot of things? I was hoping I would finish more series, but at least I made progress in quite a few, as I said, and I'm caught up on quite a bit. I'm hoping this year will be higher numbers to show that I'm getting through stuff I own and getting stuff, deciding on my shelves where, what series I want to attack, get through and get caught up on those that aren't finished. So anyway, that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.